In the long run, there is no ceiling for the price of Bitcoin denominated in worldly items. Pretty kind of fascinating if you think about it, because everyone's kind of searching for some sort of technology to store their wealth, whether it's equities, real estate, fine art, whatever. And they've tried to pour money or capital into these things, and the world spits back out more of those things, whether it's more equities, tech startups or whatever, more fine art or more real estate. And now we have this one asset that no matter how much time, energy, or resources are poured into creating more of it, can't create more of it. It's fascinating to see how this is going to play out.
In the long run, Bitcoin will be the global reserve, and assets, hard assets, will be denominated in Bitcoin value, Bitcoin terms. Right now, you're living through history. You have the opportunity to buy Bitcoin at a cheap price. Don't miss your opportunity.
And here's Michael Saylor stating that the separation of property and earth is just as important as the separation of money and state. What he's referencing here is Bitcoin. Definitely like and retweet this, but as you see, people are trying to see where they can store their wealth, store their value. No matter what happens with Bitcoin, it can't be printed, it can't be destroyed, it can't be turned off. It is fully decentralized, meaning that nobody controls it. You are your own bank. Opt out now. What's happening, Crypto Crew? Sean's coming back at you with another cryptocurrency video. We got a jam-packed video for you today. We'll be talking about the Bitcoin price action, so make sure you watch this one until the end. We're going straight into the charts. Taking a look at the first Bitcoin chart, we're looking at Bitcoin versus the US dollar on the daily. At the current time that's recording, Bitcoin's coming in at 25,000, a little over 25,000, 25,030 at the current time that's recording. So what we're looking at, what do we anticipate, what do we see? So looking here, you see that Bitcoin has came down and sort of seemed to have bottomed out around the 15.6 level and putting in higher highs and higher lows, just stair-stepping its way up. Now, one thing to be mindful of is Bitcoin, when it's stair-stepping its way up, it tends to use previous resistance and make it flip to and act as support. So right here, we came back and retested right here around the not $20,000 level. That was sort of back here where this acted as support, and then flipped it to resistance. And we came back and flipped it. That's fine. We came back, and right now it seems we're breaking through some major resistance around the 25.1 level, but we're still hanging out around the $25,000 level. Will we fall down? If we do fall down, how low we go? The major level we want to pay attention to is right here if we fall down any lower, and that is around the 19,570 level. Because if Bitcoin comes down and breaks through this level, that is then putting in a lower low. And mind you, we want to keep this low, this higher high, this higher low, this higher high. If we can come all the way down to 21,000 and still put in a higher low where Bitcoin comes down, comes back up, and then continues its stair-stepping pattern to the upside. No one knows how low Bitcoin will go, but looking at the RSI below, you can sort of make a guesstimate and see what we can anticipate. Note back here in January of this year, we did see a green area on the RSI. So if we draw a line and just see what's acted as support and resistance, and you see that Bitcoin has just been coming up, coming down, retesting this line, getting smacked down, retesting this line, getting smacked down. This comes all the way down to the 30 level back towards September of 2023. So will we get squeezed in this apex? Will we see lower price action before Bitcoin breaks through this downwards resistance, flips resistance to support before having that bump and run pattern into the 2024 halving? Now, what's that mean for the price? Is the price going to do some type of head and shoulders pattern to where we'll see lower price action? Is that in the cards? You don't want to discount anything. We're still in the bear market, even though we've seen a substantial gain this year. Bitcoin has made a run, and we have had a roughly 100% run this year. Now, Bitcoin has been running some resistance. Another thing to pay attention to on this chart is the EMAs. On the daily, the EMA just had a short call back in May. And every time we have a short call, this does last for some time. The last time we had a short call was up here, and look what happened. Bitcoin always has fallen. And this is in a bull market right here in 2021, but right now, look at what Bitcoin does the past few short calls. So could Bitcoin come down to these levels and retest this upwards trend line? that's definitely in the cards. We could see a $20,000 Bitcoin being retested, but once again, as long as we don't break this level here of 19,570, where we wick down to right here, then Bitcoin is technically still putting in a higher low, and the trend is your friend to the end, and in that case, the trend will not break. Another update from El Crypto Prof. The bears were right. A huge head and shoulders pattern for Bitcoin. Danger of a crash imminent. So, we showed you this chart here where we could see some lower price action based on, the technicals and what we see. The RSI, note, one thing we didn't call out is we put in a low back here in November of 2022. This was actually around that 15.6K level, but we draw this line. Bitcoin is still putting in a low, a higher high, higher low, but we didn't put in a higher high yet, but we've been putting in higher lows. So will Bitcoin break out of this and then put in a higher high above this 89 level? Will we get to 90 on the RSI? That could be in the cards as well, and this short call could be invalidated. So if we break through this convincingly and we start to fall, then it might be a short call opportunity, and you could ride this down to the $20,000 level. We could see 20K, but what El Crypto Prof's talking about, if you look at this chart and you just invert it, he's showing you that this happened before. In the last bear cycle, we had the pandemic crash, and then we had a head and shoulders pattern. This chart is flipped, so going down, the price is going up. Makes sense? Well, we plotted this out for you, and you see this blue line. This blue line is acting as macro resistance, and this is flipped, so this is really macro support. This is when Bitcoin went down to 3,100, came back up, wicked down below 3,400, and then came back up. But note these patterns right here. This pattern here is showing a head and shoulders pattern, and look what Bitcoin does. When it falls through this support line, if we zoom into this price action, you see that it falls through, it comes back, has a retest, and then falls through. But this falls up. This is when we started that run up to that $65,000 peak back in April of 2021. So keep that in mind. But look right where we are right now. We're doing a very, very similar pattern. And we're not making this up. The charts don't lie. We came back and smacked that macro resistance, which inverted is actually support. And look what we did. We put in a shoulder, head, another shoulder. And when we fell through this neckline, we fell through, and right now we're retesting it. If we zoom into this price action, it looks like we're breaking the retest, right? How far are we breaking the retest? Right now, the current time is recording, it's about 0.5% we're breaking through. We did have almost a 2% breakthrough of that retest. Now, looking back in the charts, it did the same thing before. If we zoom in here, you see this head and shoulders pattern. When we came back and retested, we broke through it as well, a few percentage points. So pay attention here. It faked out a lot of people at 7% and then ran to the upside. So if Bitcoin does the same thing it did back in 2020, then we could see a fake out and then a run up to the upside. And you see, if you zoom out on the charts, you see before how big this move was. If we have a similar move, anything remotely close to what we did last time, this would take Bitcoin all the way to a $160,000 Bitcoin price target. So keep this in mind. There's no guarantee we'll see $20,000, but you have to wait and see what Bitcoin does. Looking back at this chart we showed you, Bitcoin could fall through this support and come back and smack this support level before we then have that bump and run pattern, still putting in a higher low. So you just gotta be patient and see what the charts give you. With some crypto news, we'll close it out with this. BlackRock is close to filing for Bitcoin ETF application. BlackRock will be choosing Coinbase custody for the ETF and the crypto exchange's spot market data for pricing. This is from the source. This is coming from CoinDesk. Now, we have a take from Will Clemente. He's saying the Soros Fund Management last week, crypto is ripe for a TradeFi takeover. The next week, BlackRock's about to file an ETF. And then, so are you really going to sell your magical internet coins to these suits? Because what's going on behind the scenes? BlackRock is looking to get into the space, and they're going to be buying up Bitcoin at these discounted rates. That's what they do. They pull the boat back, and then they go all in. BlackRock is a major player. They have, I believe, $9 trillion under management. Oh, sorry, I just checked on Google. 10 trillion. When you're talking about trillions, give or take, trillion here, trillion there, whatever. But my point is, BlackRock, they're a big player, they're a huge whale. How much Bitcoin do you think will be available if they start to aggressively accumulate Bitcoin? We hope you're prepared. And with that, I'm Sean with the Bitcoin Bros. You guys like this content, go ahead and smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate the support. With that, that's all I have for you today. And I'm out.